Hello?
I said,
Hello? Oh, can you hear me? Hello?
can you hear you? Hear me?
Very faintly, eh? Um, hmm. I think I'm getting the same issue as yesterday. I mean, I can see you, but I can't hear you clearly. I don't know why that is. Oh, okay. Can you
Funny,
just
man.
say something quick? Okay, all right, all right, all right. It's okay. Something better. All right. First to Avi. So, how are you enjoying this miserable cold?
Today is a little bit warmer than yesterday. Yesterday was really, really, uh, you know, icy, chilly the entire day. So, just staying indoors, watching some sports. Some very
Cool.
interesting results yesterday, I must say.
Yes, yeah, yes. Okay, before we get into those results, I think we start with the predictable one, India Sri Lanka. India won the one day ODI series 2-1, as I mentioned in yesterday's one, but obviously the ODI wasn't clear, so we're having round two today. So yeah, I think they made six changes in that third ODI, so that was kind of expected that India were going to have trouble. And then today, the first T20, and the score line is 31 for 1 after 4.3 overs. So it's early stages, but I'm sure India will make a decent score and probably win that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sri Lankan side is a very young and inexperienced side that's taken to the park at the moment. But when I look at that result 2-1, it could have easily gone in Sri Lanka's favor as well because that second game, at one stage, India looked dead and buried at 193 for 7. And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the by Chahar at the end of 68, which was a freakish innings in a way,
Hmm.
India
Hmm.
wouldn't have got over the line. So I think India probably, on the balance, they probably would have won the series somehow. As you
Yeah.
said, we spoke about this yesterday. They probably wouldn't have rested that many players had they lost the second game. But it would have been interesting. It would have been
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Hmm.
1-1 going into
Very
the final game.
exciting. Yeah.
It would have been an exciting finale. So, Sri Lanka, they can take heart with their performance in the last game, bowling
Yeah.
India out for 225. So that was a good
Yeah.
result for them. But and they obviously be disappointed having not won the second game because they really looked in control in that game
Hmm.
for, I'd say, 80% of the game they were in control. And it's just the last 20% that India actually won. And that was probably the biggest part of the game that India managed to win and get over the line and get the result in the end.
Hmm.
So yeah, all in all, it was a bit of it was a good series. It was an interesting
Hmm.
series. I mean,
Hmm.
Sri Lanka can only get better. So I think that game that they did win, the last one, would give them a bit of confidence going into that T20 series. And T20 is it's the most unpredictable format. It brings teams together, and
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, there's no reason why they can't cause an upset in the T20 series as well.
But do you expect India to still win the series as a whole?
Um, yeah, I do. Just based on the experience that they have at the
Mm,
moment,
mm,
and their team probably playing much more at a higher level than
mm,
what the Sri Lankan players are playing. So
mm,
yeah,
mm.
I just give India, the
The
edge here
edge.
because this, yeah, I mean, these Sri Lankan players, most of them are really inexperienced, and
Mm,
that obviously, at international level, that counts at times, when you don't have that sort of experience to get a team over the line. But having said that, T20 is a very unpredictable format of the game, and
mm.
had it been a test match, I would say India any day, based on their experience level. And we say the same thing often in one day
Uh,
cricket.
mm,
20, I mean, hell, things possible said on the day. So yeah, India would be favorites because they have much more experience, but you can't discount Sri Lanka at all.
Okay, so now to the next segment, England-Pakistan. England won the ODI series predictably easily. Well, say predictably, but expectedly easily. And then the T20 series was a lot more exciting. Pakistan took the first one, then it went down to the wire, the third one. Anyone could have won that, but I think Pakistan didn't make enough runs, and I think the fielding let them down on that one. So it would have been nice to have seen Pakistan winning that T20 series because they are one of the dark horses for that T20 World Cup.
Yeah, Pakistan, they're really strange team at times, to be honest with you, I expected them to have a decent chance in that ODI series. Reason being is because England were really missing a lot of key players in that series, and there was a lot of rotation going. And looking at the Pakistan team, they were pretty much settled. And they were a bit disappointing in that ODI series, especially the game at Lord's, which I think they should have won when they had when they bowled out England for 247. There was a good bowling performance from them. And they didn't manage to get over the line there. They were bowled out for 192, so they fell well short. The first game they were completely outplayed. I would say 141 is not going to be enough on any wicket. You're going to need a miracle to defend 142, especially in modern day. So
you would need a team having a brain fade, man, to not chase 141.
Absolutely. And the third game they did bat very well. I mean, making 331, and Babar Azam played such an amazing innings, scoring 158. But I think, the innings from Vince for England really took the game away from Pakistan there. And, credit to England, chasing down 331 is no mean feat, And very disappointed by Pakistan the way they played in the ODI series. But how they were to get in the first game, the T20 series, and even the heroics of Livingston, which was an absolutely brutal 101 or 42 balls, was just not enough against Pakistan's side, and that was a mammoth total that they scored 232.
Yeah, if Pakistan couldn't defend that, I would have felt very bad for them.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, they looked in good shape going into that second game. But I think, as you just said, now they really blew the opportunity of winning the series because they could have easily won the T20 series had it been for better fielding and I think better bowling at times. They probably would have won that series. So yeah, it's probably one that got away from them. But end of the day, teams are building, and it's difficult to plan against a team like Pakistan. You never know what you're going to get, but I really count them as you said, one of the dark horses for that World Cup in a few months' time. So I think their unpredictability is probably their strength in a way. It's probably their weapon against a lot of teams because you're not really sure which Pakistan team is going to pitch up. So yeah, I mean, if you talk about India and Pakistan, India probably the much more consistent team when it comes to results. But Pakistan is a team to beat anybody on their day. So I think that makes them equally dangerous as well. So yeah, they're definitely one of the dark horses for that title in a few months' time.
Okay, let's look at now to West Indies and Australia. You called it West Indies to win. I was somehow, maybe in hindsight, optimistic, thinking Australia were going to really be competitive in the T20, but I was pleasantly surprised to see Australia lose 4-1, and they have competed a lot better in the ODIs. The West Indies won the second one, they chased it relatively easily at the end, but they had to work hard. 1-1 ODI series so far. Yeah,
look, this Aussie side, well, there was a lot of experimenting going on in that T20 series. So, I mean, looking at both squads, I would say the Windies squad probably much more settled. And I did call it because I thought the Windies are too good a side to actually lose 2 T20 series in a row. And they'd be gutted to losing to the Proteas. And the Proteas did play very well in that series to win it, and there were a few humdinger games. but I think they really showed their potential in the series here. Some of the power hitting, some of the bowling, especially in that first game when I felt they were down and out after scoring 140 odd, and managing to defend that score was incredible. And I did watch a bit of that game, and the way Australia absolutely capitulated in that chase. I mean, at one stage the Aussies were really, really in a strong position. I mean, they were like 100 after 9 overs, and to relinquish that sort of advantage, especially in a T20 game, is criminal in a way. Australia are very disappointing in that T20 series. But yeah, I did call it. I didn't think it was going to be this convincing, but Australia has a lot to think about in T20 cricket. It seems like they don't know which is their best side at the moment, and the Windies probably are a much more settled team than they are. So
another dark horse, for the World Cup.
Look, we always talk about dark horses, but they are defending champions.
Actually, dark horse is not correct. I would say they're one of the favorites after India and England. I would put them maybe at number 3.
I would definitely say they
I was calling them. Yeah, actually, it's funny.
Okay.
I had considered them only dark horses before the series, but now I would consider them one of the favorites. Maybe number 3.
Okay, you know the funny thing about the West Indies cricket, especially the Windies team, especially in T20s, they always seem to pitch up at tournaments. So they are a tournament side, and I would definitely put them in the top 3 to win the tournament yet again, because they might not have consistent players, but they have match winners. They have players that can hit the ball out of the park. They have bowlers that can bowl, 3 or 4 good overs on a trot. So they've got match winners, and that's all you need in T20 cricket. I mean, it's not so much about consistency, but you need match winners. And I feel the Windies side, they do have match winners on the day, and they probably know how to win knockout games. So very dangerous side to play against. But I think all more question marks is probably sitting with Australia at the moment as to what sort of side they want to take to the World Cup. I don't think they have I don't think the Australian coaching setup probably has an idea which is their best side at the moment. So they've been tinkering with a lot of players. Some have performed, some haven't. So there's still room for improvement there. So there's a lot of question marks that they've got to fill before they get to that plane in India. Apologies, I thought that World Cup was happening in India, but it's been postponed. It's gone to UAE. So there's a lot of question marks before they board that plane to
Oman,
UAE.
and Dubai. So they're 3 countries actually.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see how the pitches will be in Oman actually, but that's another topic for another time. But I thought the pitches were a lot better in the T20 series against Australia. I don't know, and I'm not trying to take anything away from us winning that T20 series against the West Indies, but I thought the pitches were a lot better in that T20 series. So I think it was much more better to watch batting wise.
I think the starting times probably have something to do with that. Most of the games were happening
the same thing. At night.
I think night games probably is a better avenue. Is probably a better advertisement for T20 cricket, and you tend to get better pitches at night, whereas during the day, and I see this in the IPL a lot, where you get a lot of scoring games during the day. So it's food for thought, and I would say if you're hosting T20 series, you probably better advise to play them at night, as the pitches are much more exciting at that time, as opposed to during the day where it's still baking down. You do get a few belters here and there, but I think in a way the bowling was actually quite impressive in the South African series from both the Windies and the Proteas, to keep those scores down to the way it was. So I think the bowlers deserve a lot of credit, and I don't think Australia bowled that well in the series, hence losing it 4-1 in the end.
Yeah, but getting to the ODI series, it's 1-1 at the moment. West Indies playing really. I mean, now it'll be interesting to watch what happens now, because now I think we're probably on the decider. Are we on the decider? Let me just verify that on my side.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, fine. We are on this, so it should be nice. So who do you think is going to win the final ODI?
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, because if I look at the first game, the West Indies were outplayed, right? They were outplayed in that game. I mean, Australia posting 254, getting their sell to 254, and then blowing the Windies out, blowing the Windies away in that run chase, and Stark back to his best. I thought that was brilliant bowling from Stark, especially in the power play overs, to really curtail any threat that the Windies posed. But the second game, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, Australia batting first and posting a really, really mediocre 187, which, as I say, it's not going to be enough on most pitches. And look, they gave it a first, but I just think they were far too many runs short there.
I think another 250 would have probably squeezed in the series.
Yeah, the batting from the Australian team wasn't up to standard, because at one stage they were tearing down the battle at 47 for 6. Had it not been for those tail end runs, they probably wouldn't have got to 150. So you could say they were lucky to 187 in the end.
Yeah,
the Windies probably. And I watched a bit of that game, and their lines and lengths were superb against this Australian batting lineup, which I would say is very, very under strength, barring a few, experienced faces. I think the most experienced batting batter in that side was probably Carey, Eric's Carey, the wicketkeeper. Apart from him, there wasn't too much experience, so I wouldn't read too much into the result. But it was set up for the last game, which is the decider now.
Yeah,
and honestly speaking, Sid, I think the advantage is with the Windies here. Having seen the way they bowled, and I think they probably have an idea how to bowl on these wickets, much better than what the Australians would. And I think they've obviously after that first game they went back to good lines and lengths, and they've troubled these Australian batsmen. So Australia looking a bit rattled now. Looking a bit rattled. I'd give the Windies a advantage in this last game here. And there's a lot of experience that's missing from that Australian lineup. So the Windies is probably a much more experienced side on paper.
Yeah.
So I'd give them the edge in the third game to actually clinch the series.
Okay, so now to our last segment, SA versus Ireland. Interesting ODI series, 1-0. Didn't expect that at all. And then the T20 series was really one-sided, 3-0. I mean, obviously, I felt it should have been 2-1 because Ireland deserved at least a win in one of those matches, especially the second game. I mean, I felt really bad for them. But, I mean, the third game, it was a real clinical performance. Bavuma was the man of the match. I didn't actually watch the highlights of it, but I saw the score lines. It looked clinical. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, very interesting. And look at a side like Ireland, they're improving leaps and bounds. The problem with them is they don't get to play enough cricket. But when they do,
it's a real shame.
They can cause upsets. And that's exactly what we saw in that second game of the series. The first game, really disappointing, rained out. It could have been a good game, but in the second game, very, very disappointing performance from Proteas. I just feel the way they bowled, they probably gave them 40 runs too many. And the way they batted, I just felt, there were so many batters that were like getting in and getting out, especially a guy like Miller, who was very disappointing in that game. It's not. I think it's very uncharacteristic of a top international team to be batting the way that the Proteas batted in that game, and take nothing away from the way Ireland bowled. They were superb. They had a score in mind. They got to that score, and they felt their way in their ascendancy. And I just feel the Proteas, they just let their guard down.
They guard down.
And I want to use the word underestimate, but you could feel there was a bit of complacency creeping in there with some of those shots that they played. But
I thought the same thing as well.
Having said that, they got the act together in the third game.
Yeah.
which I think would have been a real, uh, it would have caused real shockwaves had they actually
Yeah.
went down in the.
Yeah.
Uh, Brilliant performance from the two
Mm.
openers, Cock and Milan.
Mm.
I can't understand why the Cock was arrested for the first two games. To be honest with you, that this is
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. I mean, if you watch the way De Kock batted, I mean, it seems like he played every single game, but he only played one game
Mm.
that season and scored a century. So it just goes to show
Mm.
the talent that De Kock is, and you certainly cannot keep him out for as long
Yeah.
as you did. It was a big wake up call that first game, but they got it together and posting that Mammoth. Apologies, that Mammoth score of 347, and look, it was never going to be enough for a side like Ireland. So I'm glad that they did show their potential in that third game. But the problem with the Proteas at the moment, especially in limited overs cricket, it's a consistency. They need to be more consistent.
Mm.
I feel
Mm.
if you want to be a top side again, and we understand that they are in a rebuilding phase as well. I mean, most of those formats they are rebuilding.
Yeah.
So it's very important to
Yeah.
get a number of wins together. So it was a good result in the end, but I still feel they need to improve. And I still feel a team of Proteas caliber, they should be winning the ODI series and T20 series quite comfortably against a team like Ireland, which is what we saw in the ODI series. Um, Sorry, the T20 series. The
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
games,
Yeah.
very good scoring test.
Mm.
Look, the bowlers came to the party there. Shamsi has been superb. Linda's been
Mm.
superb for us in the last year or so. He's actually been a revelation, I would think, in the T20s and Test formats. And look, they got their act together in the third game, scoring 189. But
Mm.
I mean, it was quite a predictable sort of result. I don't think anybody would have put money on them losing the series after having
Mm.
been given that wake up call in the first ODI. They probably would have been
I mean,
disappointed with.
you mean the second? You mean the second ODI because the first ODI was washed out. Mm.
Yeah, correct. The second ODI, they getting that big wake up call. So
Mm.
it was good. I feel in a way because the first game was rained down, it probably suited Ireland because they just had to win one
Mm.
game and
Mm.
they'd be able
Mm.
to. So
Yeah.
I feel in a way they have Ireland there, but take nothing
Yeah.
away from the way they played superbly in that
Yeah.
second game. Uh,
Mm.
Look, the Proteas, they managed to get the job done. They managed to get a 3-0 series win.
Yeah.
I feel that they do need to play much more, quality opposition before they go to that World Cup,
Yeah.
which will give us a gauge as to where they are. They've had two good series so far, one against the Windies, which was a
Yeah.
testing series, and they came through it.
Yes.
Came through that examination, and this one here as well, which was two testing games. The first two games were a bit difficult. I'd say the
Yeah.
bowlers saved the blushes there.
Yeah. Mm.
So the third game, the batters actually came to the party and scored
Yeah.
189.
Mm.
But I do feel they need to play better opposition
Yeah.
in the likes of either India or I'll probably say India. I'll probably say India would be good opposition for the Proteas at the moment. I know there's a tour of Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
and they obviously couldn't take that lightly as well. So, as much preparation as possible heading into that World Cup
Yeah.
later in the year. So,
Yeah.
T20 cricket is the focus at the moment, I would say. The T20 cricket
Yeah.
is the focus for most teams.
Yeah. But I think the conditions in Sri Lanka would help us in the sense that they should be similar to the UAE to an extent. So I think any victories there in Sri Lanka will be helpful. Also good for confidence. Mm.
Yeah, definitely. And our record in Sri Lanka hasn't been that good recently. So
Mm.
it would be a good series, and I think the likes of Shamsi and Linda would enjoy those conditions in Sri Lanka, those spinning
Mm.
conditions. So yeah, I would think a 5-match series would be suitable a very good preparation. And if we can have that series against India before the World Cup, that would be amazing as well. But we've got to fill in an IPL calendar as well, which is going to be so difficult now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we were supposed
That's
to
going to
play
be a
them, but I
challenge
think
for
the
them.
IPL takes importance now, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing. So I would think most of these players, they probably want to get some IPL, action under their belt, and
Yeah.
see how far they gauge
Yeah.
from there. So yeah,
Yeah, I think if they
very
play the
some
IPL, they'll get the conditions from the UAE, so it'll work out for them. Be the best of both worlds. One, they'll get the familiarity of UAE before the World Cup, so it's fine. And they'll also get some money. Oh, yeah.
you can't not talk about the paychecks. I mean, these guys are getting good paychecks in the IPL. So yeah, it's good fun, and
Yeah.
they playing against high quality cricketers, and it's good
Mm.
practice. So I would think the main players that are going to that World Cup would want to get enough IPL action under their belt, and I think they would. I think they would, but I'm
Mm.
just like a little bit concerned of players like Shamsi and Linda if they can get enough game time during that time. So
Mm.
my personal opinion, I would think two more series heading into that World Cup would be ideal. But it is what it is at the moment. We have such a stretched calendar because of COVID, and
Yeah.
to be able to cram all this cricket up into one calendar year is going to be difficult. So uh, you know. As much as I want the Proteas to do well in this tournament, they've also got to be targeting that there's a World Cup next year as well. So whatever they do manage to achieve in this World Cup, they've got to build from there.
Mm.
But I would think any team that goes to the World Cup would want to win it. You know, so
Yes.
it's going to be it's going to be interesting. It's going to be difficult as well. I would think it being in the UAE would probably be a little bit balanced in a way that it wouldn't give India that much of an advantage
Mm.
as it would be playing in India. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams would probably you know fancy their chances. And look, I said to you before offline, there's going to be scores of 150, 150 that are that are going to be defendable scores in the World Cup because there's pressure. There's pressure to chase those
Mm.
scores down. So teams, you're going to see games where teams are going to be trying to defend 150. So
Mm.
whatever preparation you can get, and I think that
Mm.
series in the Caribbean really proved a great preparation because there were a lot of low scores that they had to defend, and they defended it quite well. Albeit the first game, which they were completely outplayed in, but I think thereafter they showed a good account of themselves, the Proteas, and how to defend the score. But I would like to see how they chase the score down because they've won 6 games now, defending a total in the last 2 series. I'd like to see how they chase the score down. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think I was having this thought in my head, and call me crazy, but I think if teams like Australia and well as us get our main players playing in that World Cup and they start racking up wins, I feel, especially like a team like Australia, once they get confidence, anything can happen. They could also start becoming a dark horse. But at the moment, I'm not seeing it much for Australia to really win this World Cup this year. I mean, I feel that they just need to, but I wouldn't put it past them. But I mean, they outside even the dark horse thing at the moment. So I think that they just need to get their best players back. But I think they didn't come because of COVID bubble reasons and injuries. So it's hard to gauge from them. But if I'm looking at things so far, I don't know.
Yeah, whenever I look at the Australian side, especially in T20s, it doesn't seem like they ever play their best team. There's always been
Hmm.
experimenting. So it is difficult to gauge what Australia would offer in the World Cup. Uh, they haven't really been that dominant in T20 cricket as they have been in
Except
the other
in the West
formats.
Indies. I remember they made the final the one time. They were really good, but that was a long time ago. So now I have to
It
now
was a
look at
long
it
time ago.
now.
It was a long time ago. I would think
Yeah.
I think with that team there, they probably had a lot of senior players in their
Yeah.
setup. Whereas now, they don't seem to
Mm.
have that many senior players. There
Mm.
seems to
Mm.
be a lack of experience
Mm.
in the side, which is something you
Mm.
wouldn't associate with Australian cricket.
Yeah.
With Australian cricket. So, look, we spoke about it. Which teams we really see as
Yeah.
contenders, but I wouldn't want to write off the Proteas as well. Anything's possible, as you say. I mean, it's all about
Mm.
how you perform on. So the
Yeah.
Proteas, if they manage
I would
to
put them.
to
I
win
would
that,
put them more as underdogs. I'll put them more as underdogs. I wouldn't even put them as dark horse. I would say that they're like underdogs, like Australia. I'll put them like in the same bracket. Maybe just
oh,
slightly
they
better than
definitely are
Australia.
underdogs.
Yeah. Who would have
Definitely.
ever thought of if
Probably.
someone had told us, like if someone had told me, if someone had told me this years ago that we would be known as underdogs going into World Cups, I would have laughed my head off. But now it is what it is. Even the same thing with Australia. Someone told me this years ago Australia would become an underdog team going into T20. I would have laughed. How times have changed.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I think there's another side that we can't bring into this conversation. Is New Zealand. They haven't really played much cricket recently,
Oh
so
yeah, oh
I'm not
yeah.
sure
But
how much of a factor that would be. But
I think they'll be. I think they'll be fine. I
I,
think I'll put them under the dark horses category, more like dark horses, like Pakistan.
definitely dark horses. But yeah, look, underdogs is one thing. Dark horse is another thing. So we've
Yeah,
given our assessment to who the favorite teams are. I'd say to me, I'd say the favorite at the moment probably be England. Having seen
yeah,
how they played in the past, you know,
mm, mm,
couple. Um, they'd probably
yeah,
be up there. India, you really can't discount them.
yeah,
And then the Windies, I always say the Windies are tournament side, so I'm expecting them
mm,
to do well as well. I think if the Proteas can get some results going as well, I I,
mm,
I see them probably making a semi-final, and whatever comes after that would probably be a bonus. But
mm,
a
mm,
country like this will obviously crave for that success. So anything's possible
mm,
in this format, especially anything is possible. So uh,
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be very unpredictable as well.
yeah, man. Okay, I guess that's pretty much a wrap. It looks like everything has turned out well today because your audio is great today. So I shall definitely send you a copy of this and peace out, man.
Peace out, man. Cheers. See you soon.
Peace.